There's not a banana or an apple or a bean.
Okay, those aren't vegan.
Let's unload some of this, shall we? So I haven't uploaded a video in like over half a year, but I think this is a good time to start up again. Why not, right? I should definitely thank Jubilee for like having me on the spectrum, but also I'm just like kind of slightly disappointed in them because there was so much taken out of the video. Obviously, they have to cut out a lot of it because we're talking for probably 2 hours. But to cut the entire video down to 12 minutes was just ridiculous because this video could have easily been 20 minutes or more. They actually cut out 3 entire prompts. One of the people that was supposed to be there was just missing. Like, there were supposed to be 6 of us, but there was 5 of us. So that kind of sucked. I'm still glad I did it because, you know what? Any chance to try to promote anti-speciesism, I think I'm gonna take it. I mean, they have like 4 million subscribers. So yeah, I went into this with the intention of bringing up speciesism multiple times. It was at least 3 to 5 times because I wanted it to be in the video and I knew they had to cut a lot, and I was like, if I bring it up again and again, then at least one time it's gonna get in there, right? Nope, they cut out speciesism every single time. And then also, I have TubeBuddy on YouTube, so you can look at certain analytics and stuff of other people's channels, and you can look at the tags that they use. Jubilee purposely used a tag of vegan versus plant-based because they deliberately made the video with plant-based people in it and tried to make it divisive. Because they know that vegans don't really like plant-based people calling themselves vegan because it misrepresents veganism. I believe that Jubilee has really good intentions. I've watched them for over 2 years. I love the majority of their videos. But I do believe on some level that they purposely made this so that it would cause a stir and make it so that people have another reason not to like vegans or veganism. And that just is kind of upsetting that, you know, they're willing to do that. That doesn't excuse, like, I guess, how I acted, especially for one question. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to talk about in this. There's also stuff I'm going to talk about that they cut out. So if you're willing to listen, that's cool. If you're one of these people that just wants to like come and comment weird stuff, then whatever, I guess, you know? But I really hope you listen. I did say that they cut out 3 prompts. I feel like I might just discuss those at the end of this video because there's just so much.
I guess it's just like in the definition. Veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as practicable and possible, all forms of animal exploitation.
I just was very sick all the time, and I just had an inclination that if I stopped eating animal byproducts that I would feel better.
I became vegan for health reasons, but I think the end goal of veganism is animal liberation. So I feel like that's more plant-based when you're vegan for health or vegan for something else.
So I really liked what Tyra said there, is that there's a difference between plant-based and veganism, and that veganism is about animal liberation. Veganism isn't just a diet, it's about all of the ways that we exploit other animals because of speciesism. Speciesism is just another form of discrimination. It's what we've been indoctrinated into as a society. The belief that for some reason humans are superior to all other animals. And that's just not the case. And even if that were the case, wouldn't it be our responsibility to protect them instead of to harm, take, kill? If we're really the superior beings on this planet, wouldn't we want what's best for every other living being here? So yes, veganism is about liberation. It's about justice. It's about everyone having the right to live, no matter what species they're born as. Here in the US, dogs, cats, they have the right to live, but cows, chickens, for some reason, they don't. And it's just something that we're all taught, and all forms of discrimination can be unlearned. Veganism is about not oppressing other animals. Whereas plant-based, I love plant-based. Like, preach a plant-based diet. Whole foods plant-based, yes. Cure that heart disease, save that environment, you know? Okay? Less plastic, less fat, less oils, less salt, less processed sugar. Like, bring it on. Whole foods plant-based all the way. But at the end of the day, it's not what's going to liberate all animals. Somebody can be plant-based and still go to a circus or a zoo, which is really just a prison for animals that did nothing wrong but were born in the wrong body. So yes, there is a pretty big difference between plant-based and veganism. People will get mad at me for wanting a clear line between them, but there has to be, because veganism's not a diet. Like, everybody who is vegan is eating a plant-based diet. It might not be whole foods plant-based, but it is 100% plant-based. Somebody who's plant-based, on the other hand, might not be vegan. It doesn't go both ways. So I thought I'd just clear that up for anybody who's watching, doesn't know the difference between veganism and plant-based, because there's a difference.
You could do more good for the environment by being vegan than giving up your car, which is insane. I guess the ethics came afterwards, which is why, like, I agree with you guys. I feel like we both think the same things, but why I started wasn't for ethics, which is why I'm here.
So after that, they cut it off because, I mean, obviously they have to save time, but also they wanted to be divisive. I agreed with Sean after that. I went plant-based after watching What the Health and Cowspiracy, which Sean actually mentioned that everybody should watch Cowspiracy. They just cut that out because they don't want people knowing the truth. They don't want you knowing the truth about the environment and what you could do to stop the change. That wouldn't be good, right? I don't know. And I agree that I was plant-based for that. And then I watched Earthlings, and just knowing who the victims are, what all of this is about. And when you really connect with that being the issue, that we as humans have dominated everything on this planet and taken everything, including other animals' lives from them. The only thing that they're given on this planet, somehow we managed to steal that. When you really realize what that's about, that's veganism. So yeah, I was plant-based. And then I learned the truth about all the harm we're causing to other beings, how much suffering there really is on this planet. And I was like, all right, you know what? Vegan for life.
I will not buy or cook non-vegan items in loved ones.
I've bought like a chicken burrito for my brother. He would go get it anyway, and that's maybe not the best way to go about it. Maybe I should deter him.
Buying it or preparing animal products or anything that's not vegan for somebody is enabling them to fund the very oppression that I'm against. Like for me, I've taken the liberation pledge. So like I'll refuse to eat at a table where people are eating animal products. In my mind, it's the same thing as if like you're eating a dog or a child in front of me.
So if you're gonna try to change people, don't you think it'd be beneficial to sit with them, because then you could expose them to your point of view?
So a lot of people, including a lot of vegans, like hate the Liberation Pledge. Not just like don't want to do it, they just hate it. I kind of get why I didn't understand it at first. What it's about is not normalizing the violence around us. Okay, so people will say like vegan propaganda, right? I mean, we literally have everything to lose and nothing to gain, so like, why would we lie? But sure, vegan propaganda. People say that. When there's maybe 5 at max 10%, that's like an extraordinary overestimate of the world population being vegan. So when you look at that over 90%, probably over 99% of all advertisement in the world is non-vegan and extremely speciesist, is it really vegans who have the propaganda? Or is it the meat, dairy, and egg industries? Within those ads, every single time, it's normalizing violence. And that's not to say that people who eat animals are evil people. I believe that good people are capable of doing horrible things. We just don't know what we're doing right now. And that's why we have to unlearn the speciesism. That's why I wanted to take the Liberation Pledge, because I want to remind myself every day that I'm not normalizing violence, and I have to speak up against it no matter where it is. No matter if it's in the form of a dog getting hit on the street, somebody going in a horse-drawn carriage, or somebody eating a hamburger. If it's around me, if they want to do it around me, I'm going to speak out against it, because it's not right, it's violent. So people who are not vegan in my life, we just either have vegan meals together, or we just don't have meals together and we do a whole bunch of other fun activities. It's really not that hard. I mean, most Americans eat by themselves, what, probably 2 to 3 times a day on average? We are just like go, 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 eat, like don't talk to anyone. So what's the difference? I guess people could say it'd be hard around holidays, like Thanksgiving that's coming up. A lot of people have bigoted relatives, so they have to go home to these places and then listen to them say all of these horrible things. Do you want to be the person that tells them it's not okay, or just sit around and let it happen? Because I don't want to be the person who just sits around and lets things happen. But if you really think about it anyway, Thanksgiving is one of the most messed up holidays in existence. We're literally celebrating a genocide with a turkey holocaust. It's beyond immoral. But anyway, it's been like 2 months since we have filmed this video, so how I talk about the pledge has changed a little bit. Instead of telling people, I refuse to sit with you, I just say, I made a promise to all animals that I wouldn't participate in or normalize the violence against them. And it's really that simple for me. I feel like most people get it right away. Like, I'm just not gonna be around that, because I know it's violent. Most people in their heart, they know there's some violence behind that. So it's a pretty easy thing to get across. I understand if other people don't want to do the pledge, but I think it's a good idea.
I think what has brought me a lot of joy is like taking everything that I know my family loves to eat and veganizing it. And I've seen like my mom, my dad, and my brother, who I never thought would go vegan in a million years, go vegan. And I do know that if I would have had the approach of like judging them or, you know, coming too aggressive, it would not have been met with love or understanding at all. Not forcing it on them, it has actually helped them come over to the dark side.
So I do want to say that, like, I'm not here to judge people. I ate animals for over 20 years of my life. I raised backyard hens to steal their eggs and cut off their heads. I am in no place to judge people. It's just that I don't want to be around that violence. I don't want to normalize it. And it's a pretty easy conversation to have. You know, you have like rapport with people usually when you're getting food with them. Or if it's somebody you don't know and you're meeting them for the first time, just like let them know, hey, would you mind if we go and get a cruelty-free meal? Just something like that. It's so simple. It's not like I'm saying don't eat with me at all. I'm saying let's enjoy a cruelty-free meal together.
You are still vegan if you allow yourself an exception occasion.
It's the same thing with like meatless Mondays. Like, we don't have like homophobic free Tuesdays. Like, it's every day is homophobia free, right?
So the reason I said that is actually I got that quote from this mockumentary. It's called Carnage Swallowing the Past. Great thing to watch. Yeah, if you really think about it, saying something like meatless Mondays is just about the same as saying homophobia free Fridays. Because when we're saying meatless Mondays, it's like saying, hey, you can participate in the exploitation and murder of other animals 6 days a week. As long as you're not doing it 1 day a week, like, that's awesome. You're trying, right? I mean, we wouldn't say this with any other form of discrimination. If somebody is like, hey, let's do racism light, like, no. Anti-racism. It's not like, let's be sexist on Saturdays. 5 days of the week you're being good, but 1 day a week, you know, you can like just go punch women in the face. That's not okay. Like, we're not okay with that, right? Yeah, it's the same with animals. Why are we allowing 6 days of the week to go by where they're getting harmed all the time? Billions of animals are dying. But then, one day, that's their safe day. For like, the few random animals that like don't get murdered. It doesn't make any sense.
Say you're traveling and it's genuinely hard to find like vegan food. You can't like survive on like just like lettuce all the time.
I don't want to come across rude, but I also want to state how I feel about this. Is that since going vegan, I personally have looked into many other facets of life in the ways that we're harming this planet, other humans, other animals, just all of the exploitation and suffering that just us living here causes. And I personally don't like to travel anymore. I go home like once a year to visit my family now. On a plane it takes 2 hours and I feel terrible that I'm flying on that plane. But I also just can't afford to travel. The point I want to say is that if I were to be traveling, especially since I'm vegan, I would make sure that the place I'm going would allow for me to stay 100% vegan, plant-based while I'm there. I otherwise probably wouldn't travel there. It's not worth killing other animals and using so many resources to fly in a plane. I don't want to shame anyone for traveling because I understand that a lot of people have to travel for a lot of things. I do think that if we're traveling as vegans, we should definitely be aware of what we're doing.
We live in a place where veganism is almost mainstream and it's super accessible, but there's developing countries where that's just not the case.
Even though like Beyond Burgers, Gardein, like those aren't accessible worldwide, we have fruits and vegetables everywhere. And like, I don't want to just tell everyone to only like
There's food
basic
deserts
plants.
though, and in Iceland, their diet is just, it's such a cold climate. It's all like sheep, fish, you know, it's really dairy, because
But they don't
that's
have
what
any
the
fruits or
land.
vegetables out there whatsoever at all.
So, yes, I do know what food deserts are. I knew about them before this video. I've definitely looked into it a lot more. Food deserts don't just make it hard to find fruits and vegetables. It makes it hard to find everything. And the things that are the most convenient are super unhealthy. And there are ways to get by in food deserts as a vegan. It might be a lot more challenging, but there are ways to do it. Rice, lentils, beans, oats, those are all things that can be stored for a very long time that are some of the most cheapest things on the planet. If we actually look at the cost of food on average, whole plant foods around the globe are going to be the cheapest, while flesh and milk and eggs, those are all the priciest items. It's not the same in every single area, but averagely, plant food costs a lot less than not plant food. So I will put down below in my description different links for help with like food deserts and stuff. But whenever we're talking about veganism and its accessibility, we always bring up the most rural places on the planet. And the people who usually bring it up are not from there. They're using this as an excuse for why they themselves cannot go vegan. While in the definition itself, veganism allows everyone on this planet to be vegan. Because if you happen to live in an area where you cannot eat entirely plant-based and sustain yourself, if it's really impossible, if it's really impracticable, if you really cannot do it, if you're going that extra mile and you're doing everything you can to be 100% plant-based and not contribute to any animal exploitation, but if it's physically impossible and you have to, like absolutely necessary, consume another being's flesh or secretions, then technically you fit into the definition of veganism because it's as far as practicable and possible. Now it's people here in developed countries that are refusing to go vegan that's pretty much infringing on other people's right to not exploit animals. Because the vast majority of grain that we grow in this world is fed to animals to kill them. We could feed about 10 to 12 billion humans with the amount of grain that we grow right now on this planet. About 10 to 12 billion. But we're only feeding about 7 billion of us. About 1 billion humans are starving every year. And somehow we're feeding billions and billions of animals and killing them and eating them. And I brought this up, the Cowspiracy documentary, so you guys can go to that, cowspiracy.com/facts. It has everything, all of the citations, so you guys can see the sources. You don't have to trust me. Go look at the sources. But over 80% of starving children in this world live in countries where we are growing grain to feed to animals to then murder and then eat. So the longer that people refuse to go vegan, the more that we're causing animals and humans to suffer. So whenever you're eating a pig, whenever you're eating a cow, not only is it going to make the animal suffer and die, but it's forcing people that aren't as privileged as you to suffer as well, because they have to live around that. And all of that waste from those farms, that has to go somewhere. So that ends up in like the fields and stuff around the community. It smells. It's just, everything's a big mess. And I'm not saying that veganism is going to fix it all, but it is a damn good place to start. Yeah, so the real question is like, why are we taking so much energy focusing on this when the vast majority of the world could be vegan like that overnight? And the sooner that everyone goes vegan, the easier it's going to be to like dismantle these systems that have upheld the oppression of animals and to redistribute where our resources are going, because we're spending a third of our fresh water on animals. We're spending over 70% of our grain. I think it's something like that. It's insane. We're spending our most valuable resources on killing when we could be feeding humans. So instead of getting super mad at me, why don't we do something about it? I mean, you can be mad at me too, but do something while you're at it. Like, go vegan and then help empower people in these areas. And that's something I want to talk about, is the Food Empowerment Project. It's an organization run by women of color, and it's vegan. And their whole mission is to get food justice, but specifically veganism, because food justice can't exist without veganism. As long as animals are suffering and being used and causing other humans to suffer in the form of diseases, it's not justice. So if you guys want to check out their website, the Food Empowerment Project, and if you're able to donate, because one of the best ways that we're going to help people to eat 100% plant-based in these rural areas is if we go vegan and then we use the resources we have to help them go vegan as well. The way not to do it is just by like getting mad at people on the internet. I'm all for getting mad. Have your feelings, but as long as you are doing something in the process. So if you really want to help, if you really want to do something, like, do something. Don't just sit and complain, do something. How many times do I have to say that? Do something.
I've been bullied for being vegan.
Every now and then you get the, bro, you look like you need a hamburger, but I mean, it's not that bad.
Like, I got left out of like a lot of dinner plans and stuff like that with family and friends. They didn't want to pick somewhere that I could also eat at. They wanted to stay with what they wanted to eat.
I get people who try to take like my blackness away. They'll say, you're not black if you're vegan. How can you be black and vegan? And it really does mess with your head.
So there's two things I want to talk about, I guess, is like what Tyra said. That's very valid. I just watched a documentary called The Invisible Vegan. They actually go over food deserts and that as well. That's something that's going to be great to watch. But also what I want to talk about is my response to it. As vegans, especially activists, we get a lot of harassment online. It comes with it. But I just know that people don't know what they're talking about. So I just don't even register it as being real, kind of. But it does happen. So it is considered bullying. That's why I'm on slightly agree. Also that people intersect their homophobia with their bullying of veganism, because I get things like, oh no, there's no way you could be vegan. You have sausage in your mouth. Some shit like that. So yeah, that's why I'm over there on that line. I don't find it a big deal because people have always hated me. I kind of just like, I don't care what you think. It's important that I like me, right? People in my life like me. That's all I really care about. If part of the world hates me, I guess I'm doing something right? But yeah, that is my belief. If nobody hates you, then you're doing something wrong. You gotta have at least one hater, right?
If you wear leather, you are not vegan.
A lot of bike seats are leather, and it's hard to always know exactly what you're purchasing.
To me, it's like just not fair to the animals for us to like abuse our own ignorance and not actually take the time to research.
All right, so I guess this is a good time to actually discuss speciesism more. I talked about it, how it's discrimination, like racism, sexism, homophobia. It's all discrimination, it's all learned. This is speciesism. And one of the things that goes with it is our language and all of the euphemisms that we use, like leather, meat, dairy, eggs, all these different things. They're used to cover up the fact that it's skin, flesh, breast milk, chicken's menstruations. These are all used to make us as consumers feel more comfortable with what we're purchasing. Because if you told somebody that's cow flesh, it's gonna be a little more off-putting than look at that nice steak, right? So that's the problem that I have with leather right now, is that it's skin. Fake leather is not sustainable. Fake fur is also not sustainable. Also, on top of the unsustainability of fake fur and leather, is that there is an off chance that any fake fur or fake leather item you purchase is made out of real flesh, real fur, real skin. So I personally, I understand other vegans might want to get their fake fur and their fake leather, but I personally wouldn't buy it for the unsustainability, also for the chances that it might be real, and then also because it just normalizes the violence of animals. It normalizes that we're allowed to take the flesh off their bodies, to take the skin right off of them, and just wear it as a coat, or a jacket, or a belt, or a purse, or shoes, or whatever we could imagine, you know? And to me, it's just violent. So I will not buy faux leather or fur because I don't want to normalize the violence.
I think people do have excuses, especially in like poorer neighborhoods. They're working so much, they don't have the time to consciously go out and research about veganism.
I don't want to like take a jab at anyone, but I do want to point out that we wouldn't say this about any other form of discrimination. Being like, some people don't have the time. Some people don't have the time to not learn about not being racist. Some people don't have the time to learn about not being homophobic. No, everybody has the time, because ending oppression is one of the most important things that we have to do on this planet. We have to end it. Because I know this is like a cheesy quote, but none of us are free until all of us are free. So we should be treating the animal rights movement just like any other social justice movement.
You are a better person if you were vegan.
So I wouldn't say like I'm a better person than other people in general, but me as an individual, I am a better person than I ever was before. And I guarantee that anyone who goes vegan will be a better version of themselves.
I think I'm a better person because I'm vegan, but I know vegans who are racist and homophobic, and to me, they aren't good people.
Just in my personal opinion, I feel like vegan is an anti-discrimination, anti-oppression movement. It's really hard to be racist and be vegan. I would not consider you vegan if you're homophobic or racist or something like that. That's why I'm here, someone who's truly vegan, who is of those values. In my personal opinion, I don't feel like they're better, but I feel like they are a good person.
So with that prompt, I thought that they were gonna do like, vegans think that they're morally superior or something like that, but it was that's the way I responded. I did. Otherwise, I did want to respond to like being the whole thing of moral superiority in vegans. And it's not that like I feel morally superior in every area of my life, because I know I am not a perfect person at all. But in this specific area, I'm acting out of a better place, morally speaking. Not killing an animal is morally better than killing them. I mean, just do it with like, would you say that you are morally superior in the area of not killing dogs to somebody who does kill dogs? Or would you say you're morally superior to somebody who beats their wife because you don't? Probably. Because you know that not beating someone is better than beating someone. And it's the same thing with veganism. I don't go around telling everybody, hey, I'm morally superior than you, I'm morally superior than you. No, because vegans are not just morally superior than everyone. It's that we have aligned our actions with our morals. Everybody is against animal cruelty. It's just that the majority of us are paying for it like 3 times a day. So the thing is, just align those actions with your morals. I know you can do it. Have faith in yourself. Alright, so I guess it's time to discuss the 3 prompts that they just completely cut out of this video. The first one I can remember is, eating meat is wrong. And all of us, every single one of us, went to strongly agree. There was a second prompt that we also all strongly agreed on, which was, I'm proud to be vegan. Looking back on that, I'm not proud to be vegan. I'm proud to be an activist. Being vegan is just being non-violent towards animals. It's not doing anything. Being active and actually trying to make a difference, that's what makes me proud. But as far as eating meat is wrong, we all agreed on it. Because I think even non-vegans know that on some level, eating someone's flesh is wrong. They know that like someone had to die for it. Maybe not if you're really young, but as you grow up, like, you know that someone had to die. You know that on some level, like you have to. So yeah, we all agreed on both those prompts, and I think part of the reason they just cut them out completely was to make the video look more divisive than it actually was. That we agreed on a lot of things, but they purposely made it so it looked like I was opposed to a lot of the stuff that they were saying. And I just don't think that's very fair, especially to your audience. Speaking to you, Jubilee, I don't think it's fair to your audience what you're doing, because they want to know the truth about the world. And when you manipulate this a certain way to fit your narrative, then you're distorting what veganism is. You're distorting an entire social justice movement. It's just not fair to the animals. And the other prompt that they cut out was, it's okay to kill an animal if it's out of survival. And I actually went to the slightly agree. I think that they also cut that out because it was the only time that I was like, oh yeah, it is okay. And I made it clear that I think there's a difference between killing an animal out of survival and to eat them. Like if I was starving, I wouldn't kill my dog and eat them. I would just starve. And then hopefully my dog like lives without me. Because like, why should I kill somebody else and then die like a couple days later? So when I talk about survival, I'm saying like, if an animal is aggressively attacking you, like if a lion's attacking you and you have the ability to kill them to save yourself, I guess you can save yourself. Like, it's only natural instinct to defend yourself. Like, you know, self-preservation, that's a natural instinct. So like, I would never blame someone for killing an animal if it's the only way for them to live. Okay? That's why I was on the slightly agree, because it's just like, when does this ever happen? It's only in hypotheticals, right? So yeah, Jubilee, I feel like I liked being in it. I would go back to do other videos with Jubilee, but they could definitely do better. If one of you employees over there is watching this, that's not it, you guys. Do better for the animals. So there were a lot of comments, and I went through a whole bunch of them, but there were certain ones that popped out to me, like a few people that actually live in Iceland or West Africa, and they were saying that veganism was actually pretty easy for them, that whole grain plant foods are like the most readily available, but that might be like the capital areas, not super rural. So I do just want to point out that there are people living out there in those areas, and they are vegan. There's Anonymous for the Voiceless in Iceland. There's activists, not just vegans, like activists. So people who are like living out there and need help, like seek those people out, because they are going to help you. And there was one comment that really stood out to me. I want to use it as an example. I don't want to use it to criticize someone, because I really liked everyone in this video. They're all really nice people, and I believe that they care tremendously about a lot of things. But I'm going to use this as an explanation. The comment said that we should have more people like Liz leading the vegan movement. And the thing about this comment is that if people aren't activists, they're not going to be the ones leading the movement. It's great to do these videos, it's great to eat 100% plant-based, but the next step, next level is activism. And I really think that everybody who's vegan should be getting active. as much as they possibly can. Even people who are not vegan should be active. We need as many people speaking up against all forms of oppression across the board as much as we can, right? That's the only way we're gonna end this. Let's get everyone turned into an activist, alright? That would be great. Next step. Like, that's what we need to do. Make veganism synonymous with activism. It's all anti-oppression. It's all anti-speciesism. Let's dismantle that shit, okay? Alright, so this has taken forever to film. I hope that I got quite enough stuff explained. Hopefully I didn't come off across as a jerk this time, but if I did, oh well, I guess. I guess that's it. If you like the video, comment on it or like it. If you hate me, give me a thumbs down. Share it with people and make fun of me. I don't care. But make a change. Do something to make a difference. That's what I care about. Because in the end of it all, it's not about what we're eating. It's about who we're exploiting. So just keep that in mind.
Perfect.